Welcome back to Heart Power Conversations. Today, my guest is Eliska Vaea. She's an international speaker, embodiment mentor, visionary. She works with women to open and activate their wombs, bring abundance into their life, mentors them in businesses. She hosts beautiful retreats and ceremonies, and she's just a magical, heart-powered human that I can't wait for you to meet and hear her story. Welcome, Eliska. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much, Katarina, for having me here and for me to be able to share, for us to actually dive deeper into what it means, heart-powered living, and where we go with this topic. I can't wait to see what unfolds. And thank you, everyone, for watching. Yeah.
I would like to start this by asking you how Spirit, the divine, the goddess, the universe, God, called you towards this work. And you could start from your spiritual awakening and you could start into how you started stepping into it, whatever you want to share.
I just have this one like, ooh, that's such a good question, because when the goddess calls, you better respond, otherwise you'll get face planted and something happens. So I feel like many of us, there is little whispers, and the whispers are happening throughout our life. And if we're not listening, they get louder until something happens. And a lot of my little baby steps, and what I say was the biggest one that I talk about a lot, is when I was 16. It was the time I got my period, which was quite late, but it's never late, it's just perfect. And at that time I was a professional athlete, and I was running from from Venice in Czech Republic to Italy, to Venice in Italy, and there was like this high school run, and I actually peed myself on the run. It was like a non-stop run, and I was so ashamed. I was 16. I didn't know what was happening. I was like, what's happening to my body? How is this possible? Like, usually the preconception is that you pee yourself when you're old or after you give birth. All of these things are running through me. And I was like, but I'm 16. I'm like just beginning to like discover my body and all of these things. So what's going on? And I went to a gynecologist or urogynecologist, and he was like, oh yeah, it's fine. Here are some pills. We'll do like a checkup, and if that doesn't work, you'll have a surgery. I'm like, excuse me, and I didn't have like an empowered feminine role model who would be connected to the wisdom of the goddess, to the wisdom of our womb, to the pulse of the earth. So I was like, I don't know what to do, but something within me was telling me and whispering, you don't need this. You don't need the pills. You don't need any of this, and you'll just do it in the holistic way. And I didn't even know what that means that time, but I knew that it just did not feel right. And I know that for so many of us, for women, this is our intuition that we so often push away because we are taught that we are meant to do something and it's safer for us. Like the pills will save us or the surgery will save us. But actually, our body and our womb and our heart are the guiding lights, and there's everything that we need for really empowered living. And this is what it means to actually always be checking in and be guided by the inner wisdom. And I would say even the womb, because it has its own consciousness, and it is for us women. Men don't have it. So because our society is so like in the matrix patriarchal way, which it's a whole another topic, then it's run by men who are running by their own hormonal system and their own body, and they have no idea what it is to be a woman. So we as women are trying to fit in a world that's creating by men for men. And now I feel like there is so many of us who are like, whoa, are awakening from this like ancient sleep that we have been like, or even like ancient spell that we have been put under, and be like, excuse me, what's happening here? And we are reclaiming the power. So this was my baby step quite early on, where I decided to say no to the system and to be like, I'll figure it out by myself. And then as the years went on, I've journeyed through yoga. I had some other moments of like, I was a professional wakeboarder and I broke my ligaments, so I need to have 2 surgeries afterwards. So there were like moments of I wasn't fully, in yet the path of the goddess, as I would call it, or the path of the divine feminine, but the universe was like slapping me to it. And I say for every woman, and I'm curious how you experience that, there are moments where we get stopped because we need to listen deeper. And that can be any problems that we have with our intimacy, with our hormones, with anything that's happening with our body, or it can be depression, it can be anxiety. But for me, it was these steps that led me to my pelvic floor, to the womb, and to the actual divine feminine energy, Shakti, Kundalini, the force that woke up through these like initiations. Yeah.
When you were talking, I was just seeing this power, like the power from the womb, as you were retelling your story, how it was so suppressed and how the doctor tried to suppress it. And you were like, no. And the flame started coming up. And one question I have for you, as I sense so much wisdom around all things womb, what is the connection to you between the womb and the throat?
Ooh. Every question you ask is like a little pearl.
Well, I'm kind of reading you and what special codes you have that somebody on the other end, and it might be one woman, it might be 10, it might be 1,000, that this is exactly that they need to understand, because it's going to unlock something in them and it's going to redirect them in their paths. And really,
Yes.
it's the womb, we talk a lot about its power, right? But there are some things about it, like we talk about the seeds of creation that we came with. It's here to help us birth the businesses and the abundance in our lives. But there is the piece about the throat that is so important, and many traditions talk about it, but it's the wise woman who has embodied it that I find people can relate to the most. So please.
Yes. I have even written like a piece of a story on it, which I call I Am the Voice of the Earth. And that is exactly that we as women, when we connect to our womb and when we really deeply find our power and the seed in there, then we are the voices of the earth. We are the carriers of the wisdom, the abundance, the nourishment, the sacred waters that I feel are missing on this planet at this moment. And if you look at the anatomy of the pelvic floor and the throat, it's very similar. And for us women, actually, our yoni, our vagina, and the connection and the vaginal canal into the cervix and the womb is our receptive pole. So we have a plus pole on the yoni vagina, we have a giving pole on the womb, on the lower belly, then minus on the solar plexus, plus in the heart, you know, because we as women are just the giver of love. And then we have, again, receptive pole in our throat. And the third eye, intuition, is giving. That's why we are so intuitive and we can see far beyond realities and structures and like normal thinking, what we see with our eyes. And then the crown chakra is the connection. So these two receptive poles, when we open one and fully connect, then the other one goes. But it does not go without each one of us women really having to go through all the times that we have been cut out from our wisdom. And if you look at women, for example, in Europe, there was a huge witch hunt. So for us feminine in the collective, no matter where on the planet you are, there is a collective thread of women not being able to speak, not being able to share this wisdom, also being cut out from their sacred sexual energy, which is another way of moving source and shape-shifting our life. We really are so powerful. We can like create new life, not just a baby, but anything that we are birthing through our wombs is like, it can be our project, it can be our like new visions for our community, for this planet. It all is happening through women. So I find it like the womb and yoni connection with the throat is the most important. Like when this channel opens, then like the whole earth just blossoms. And for me, it was really challenging. Like I went through moments where I couldn't speak. I do sacred sound healing. I have a huge event for like 10,000 people next year where I'm going to be speaking and singing. But like, ask me 5 years ago or even before, like, would I sing? Fuck no. Like, I would be, still, I have that like blushing, but I know where I am with this and how important it is to share. So that is the like simple answer, that every one of us needs to find their way through the challenging layers that are holding us from really fully sharing our voices, and our voices are like healing this planet.
I see you on that stage, and I also see that it's not coming from you as the human you with a small limited mind. It's coming from you being plugged into source, into earth, from below and above, and just being that flute for all of it to come through. And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand when they look at somebody on a stage or a leader of a circle or whatever it is. They still look at the person as, well, who is she? What are her qualifications? What is her background? Who did she study with? Whatever it is, right? And the invitation is always, we were talking about this before we started recording, that when you connect to somebody truly as a, remove all the filters, the stories that your mind might be creating about this person, and receive them as this channel for source, channel for creation, channel that they are, and allow yourself to experience the sweetness and the magic that they bring forward without the judgment. But that's the hardest human part, right? It's to release all that. And as somebody who's facilitating, I can see this in you, the strength that it took to say, actually, any stories that anyone is creating about me, or any judgments or anything, it doesn't matter, because this is what I came here for. And I know who I am, and I know what I'm bringing through, and I know it's the medicine that's needed. And if each woman listening, men listening to this too, can get to this place, we're done. We have all arrived. Like this is literally, it's, and more of us are needed, this network, everything. And this is why we do this. Somebody might listen to it and say, oh, it's a great business she has going, but it's not about that. It's never about that. And the proof of the success of it and that it draws these people in is that the frequency is right, that it is attracting the right people who are open to it.
Yeah, and I love what you're sharing about, we as the audience need to release, but also for everyone who is listening, who is feeling like, oh, I've experienced this. I sit in a circle and I just cannot speak. It is a journey, and it is not like, not even usually when we look at someone and we have a judgment, it means that we have that gift within ourselves. That's first thing that's beautiful to acknowledge and take. And then the second, it is painful to go through the opening, because as I was sharing, we need to go through these like ancient experiences that are in our body and that are just hiding to be felt. And once we feel it and move it, and that can be, and it's amazing if it's done with opening our body and sacred sexuality and moving the energy, because we don't honestly need anything outside of ourselves. May it be plant medicines that are so popular right now, even though they are a gift and they're here for a reason, but also the knowing of that everything, like you are the medicine, and you are the medicine, and you are the medicine, and we are the medicine. And we have the breath, we have our energy, and we have nature and a connection to nature. And as you beautifully shared, connection to like the source or the light that comes. So that to me is something that I would love everyone to remember. And there was one other thing that you were sharing about, my successful business. And yes, I built it from nothing. It's multi six figures. It is growing. And there's people who are building things just because of businesses. It is, the vibration is felt. And again, when we start coming back to nature, everything that we create comes from giving back and being the connection. So even like, again, I choose who I support with my money, meaning like ethical, sustainable brands, good water sources whenever I can. Like right now, I'm used to living in like jungles of Bali and like other wild places around the world and drinking spring water. And here I am in Dubai and being like, okay, what's the best that I can do here to nourish myself? And so we have the power of choice. We have the power of making a difference. And I feel that is the piece of puzzle to remember for each one of us, that we are here to make the difference.
My dog is making sounds in agreement, like a clapping to everything you said, which resonates deeply with me and is very in line with what I teach around. It's the new paradigm of not looking for the guru or for the healer and giving away your power to a shaman to remove something from you. There is a time and place for that, but most of us have the capacity to do a lot of the work we're talking about themselves. And in fact, they are being invited to do that, because this is what brings them into their power, and it brings them into alchemizing the pain and the trauma and the all of that into something that will then become a gift and the medicine that they share with others. And if you're robbing yourself of that, you're basically becoming a spokesperson for another shaman or another something without ever having gone through the experience of feeling, alchemizing, transforming, and being reborn in a way into this more full, connected, activated, committed to life version of yourself. It's like checkbox, 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 which a lot of us get stuck in that healing paradox, right? With the checkbox and trying all the things and the plant medicine, yes, the shadow side of it, the getting the fix and having an experience. And yeah, it's, but I also think plants are, as everything is so intelligent, the universe is so intelligent. Even somebody who is building a business, which we might look at it and say, oh man, she's building it in such a masculine way, and like she's teaching women to do it the same way. But everything is needed. Everyone who's going to join that, they need to have this experience to then break free, to then put the foot on the brake and say, no, this is not, no, I'm returning to the true feminine, and you can't fake it. You can't fake it with the goddess dresses and the headpieces and the you can't. Energy doesn't lie. Energy does not lie. It doesn't. It doesn't. Like you could use ChatGPT, you could copy someone's words, but energy does not lie. And I think the greatest thing when you were talking, I was like, oh man, she's talking about conscious living, like my girl, like my sister. And if we can impart this wisdom of learning to sense energy beyond words, learning to sense energy beyond the labels on, the fabrics and all the things. It's learning to truly see the energy flow, the reciprocity, the giving and receiving in all of life. We become part of the flow of all of life. And isn't that the sweetest thing? Like,
Oh, it is the best thing. It is. It is so, so, yeah, delicious. When we live and when we are the embodiment of what we know. And when you were speaking, I had this little like share that sometimes I use, which is embodied knowledge is wisdom. So, and I love you for everything that you said, the goddess dresses and the headpieces and all the things. And then we cannot go away from when someone really is living what they're teaching or what they're sharing because of the experience. And it takes a while to like understand that there is difference. And I feel from my own experience, I have been there. I mean, I started when I was 16. Okay, I figured out that I'm not going to have a surgery. I'm like, yes. But then, the journey continued and the discernment became stronger and the knowing became deeper. So for everyone listening, trust your intuition, trust your inner compass. And if you don't know, give yourself the space to find it, to feel it, to know yourself, because without that, you'll be walking around as like a puppet being pulled by different energies and different places without really
outsourcing
knowing.
your power and outsourcing your intuition to somebody else, whether it's a course, a book, yeah, and trying to connect and plug into something.
Yeah, and there's one other piece that I had when you were speaking, which was so beautiful. You were sharing about your clients, and oh yeah, we were talking about like our own energy. And what is so beautiful about us having each other is we are here for each other. So when we realize that we have our own power and wisdom, then we can go for help and support, because it's not from giving the power away, but from like activating each other and sharing with each other the same we are sharing. That's why I feel you are doing what you're doing with your clients. I'm doing what I'm doing with my people to really bring this awareness and help women blossom in their own ways and remember their their magic and wisdom. And it is not about us being the gurus of this, but it's about us being the embodiment of what we have experienced up until this point, and then passing it on through the vibration of our field, through the practices that we know because we went through them and we worked through it and we worked our asses through it and cried our nights through it and screamed and all of the things. So that we are not here to do it alone. We are here to do it together, knowing that we are in a circle.
I have chills because you just, everything that has been like the last 6 months, if I could bottle everything up and put it into a drop, you just said exactly that wisdom, that embodied knowledge turned into wisdom. You just vocalized it so beautifully. And I want to bring something into this conversation because this has been very much I feel it in the consciousness field, in the collective consciousness field, and I wanted to bring it here. So we talk a lot about the divine feminine and the divine masculine and the toxic and mature masculine and all things. There is a piece of the divine feminine that we are all navigating, the divine feminine as a mentor to other women, where we are still seeing these beautiful figures and how they may still be very much in the gatekeeping, withholding, and being afraid to recognize the power that another sister holds. And that creates that, it's like static. Like, what was that?
Competition.
Competition again, and we're going back to the freaking competition part of it, right? It's so how do we alchemize all of that? And I, even as I'm asking, I know what it's like to be held by someone and held in full light, even when we don't see our light, when we are struggling and moving with leading with our ego and leading with our shadow. What would you say to someone who is seeing that in a mentor, or is stepping into the role of being a mentor and is struggling with it themselves? Does that make sense?
Meaning, like, there's other women who are in the mentorship
How do we,
positions,
yes,
like,
how do we
and like,
heal?
how am I meant to be here? Or like, she's gonna take my clients or something like that.
Yes, how do we heal all of that? How do we clear all of that?
Yeah.
What is the
Well,
medicine that helps us alchemize all that?
wow. Well, the one word is the true nature of feminine is abundance. So when we are still in the consciousness of lack, that there is never enough, that means that we have some work to do on our feminine, meaning, like, because when you look at nature, when you look at the forest, the flowers are the flowers. They get water when they get water. They bloom when they bloom. No one is like trying to be better than the other one. They're all different. They're all beautiful. And they're all blooming and in their own time. So there's like, when something happens on one side of the planet, something like, again, harmoniously, if we're living in our ultimate like feminine dream, I feel, or like it's a collective dream of heaven on earth, right? Then everything would be in this overflow of abundance. And I have a whole course around that. It's called Money Magic, because I feel like there's so many layers to it that when we unpack, then the natural flow can come back. And that means also there's no competition, because there is always enough for everyone. And I can tell you it wasn't easy to make it through these blocks, because like the patriarchal society is based on competition. Everything we see in like on the ads and around us, or at least what I'm seeing right now in Dubai, is about like a better car, or like who has this and that, and like what is she wearing, and how many whatever plastic surgeries did I have.
Procedures, I was gonna say. Yeah, yeah,
Procedures,
yeah.
yes. So all of that, it's like the whole society, we are bombarded by messages of you're not enough, you better be better, and this other woman is really much better than you because she's on this like cover of the magazine, or like on a billboard that's like photoshopped millions of times, but you're not looking like that, so that means like you're not the beauty standard of who we are. So no wonder we feel competition, because it's not easy to get out of the matrix or this consciousness to really deeply tune in to into our own worth and our own love and our own wisdom. And when we do, once we do, nothing and no one can take that away. Yeah.
I was, before you provided the antidote, I was going to ask you what is the antidote, and then you provided it. And I think we can all agree that you get to that place, but it's also work. It's like brushing your teeth. You know, you get the deep cleaning and you're like, okay, I'm good. But then you still have to keep brushing your teeth and doing the connecting every day, staying conscious, being in your practice, in your devotion, in your, when something is triggered, working through it, right? Alchemizing that, because everything is in this reality is built to pull us back into that sleep, into the unconscious.
Be slaves of the system, power into the system, because
Yeah,
it's like it's a business. That is
yeah,
a business. That is a business that wants to take from us.
yes, yes. At a huge cost to everything, to life, to all of life. It's
To
interesting that
mother-centered society. Like you
yeah,
are a mama of two, right? And
yeah,
I feel like everything we are doing is coming back to remembering to nourish the mothers. And that is to mother within the Mother Earth and also the actual mothers.
yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. I think it's interesting that you got brought here to Dubai from the jungle of Bali.
I
I found
know.
that I had a really hard time getting settled here. I kept saying that I feel like I'm a tree that got brought here, and it's like, what do you mean I have to get my roots in the sand and survive? What do you mean? But at some point, the big lesson we all have to learn is that we really can be anywhere. We can always choose where we go, and we can allow ourselves to be guided where we go, but we can find that deep contentment and belonging anywhere we live, as long as we have it within ourselves. And it's so unshakable and so, yeah. And I find that the heart, when we have that connection with the heart, it provides that. And I know the heart has played a big role in your life as well. And you reached out to me because you're like, she gets it, heart powered living, she gets it. So I would like to ask you this question. I ask a lot of my guests, what does it mean to you if somebody was like, well, you live a life so differently, and you said, yeah, I live my heart powered by the divine, by all of life, by my heart. What does that mean? One. And two, if somebody was like, okay, well, help me get there. What's one practice or one tool that has kept you in alignment with your heart in the most difficult of times?
Mm. Wow. The piece of like a stream of excitement that's coming for me is the connection to my own heart has been through breath. So I'll start from the back, like what would I do would be, or as a advice, and I said that already when we were speaking, is really to breathe, and to breathe into the places and into our heart where we feel whatever we feel. And it is a breath that needs to happen also in connection with the womb, for women especially, because without that, it's very, we can override our senses when we just go into the heart, because we have our whole ecosystem, our whole body speaks, and when it's all awake, then it comes into the heart and the messages follow, right? Or like the opening. And I have this beautiful example of, you know, when you do this with your hand, is this your heart? Or is this your heart? And I would invite actually everyone to do that.
So
To
for
open
anyone listening, open your hand fully, extend all your fingers.
fully extending the hand. If you can see us, if you can't see us, yeah, fully extend the hand. And then be like, is this my heart? And just tune in. And then put your hand in a fist. Be like, is this my heart? Probably no. Most people who I do this little experiment with, they're like, no, this heart fist is not my heart. When I open the hand, is this my heart? Maybe, right?
Yeah.
Then what happens? What does our heart do? Our heart is doing this.
And
So
it's
it
pulsating.
pulses.
Pulsating.
It's okay. It's always alive. It's okay to be a little bit, you know,
Contracted.
it doesn't
A little
always
bit
have to be
contracted.
like heart open in like millions of directions. It's like it's natural to have this pulse. So it's not fully crazily open or completely closed. It is this beautiful balance and the pulse, and that's the pulse of the universe within our own being. So this we are the universe, and our heart is the stargate into the universe because it's alive. And how amazing that the heart just beats on its own. Like we don't have to think about it. It is connected to the. So when we connect into our heart, and this is what I do for myself, I connect to the whole universe and the pulse of the universe, and from there the next step or the guidance comes. And it's something, I'll add one more piece to that, because I had one of my clients, she asked me, why do you live and why do you do like the connections to the quantum field through your heart? I've always learned it through my third eye. And, you know, and I was like, yeah, what about the rest of your universe? It is amazing to have a vision, but if the vision is not connected to the womb and the heart, it does not have the essence, and it's not going anywhere. So it's the other way around, like, right? The intuition or the like cosmic consciousness uniting in the heart, and the energy of the earth uniting in the heart, and then moving from there. And that is true alignment for me. And I build, you're like, yes, yes, yes. And I know it's
when
very
you said
valid.
the third eye, the quantum field, and all the things, it's because to me that will always be the masculine way, and it's always the masculine way of wanting to somehow hack your way into getting answers to advance in life, or whatever it is. The heart, like you said, is a stargate. And I truly believe that when the heart opens fully, and it doesn't have to stay open, like you said, it doesn't have to stay fully open. But when your heart opens fully to the stargate capacity that it has, it's almost physically painful because of how big it is, how expanded it is. And it's also impossible when it opens to have that selfish self-interest. You begin to stand for all of life, whether you're a mother or energetic mother or a man. You begin to see life through a different lens, through the lens of the heart, which the heart's language is love. It's the frequency of love. And yes, the third eye has the same thing, but it's more about, I want to know. I want to reach another depth of self-realization. And the heart is like, you already arrived. You just need to open yourself up to the universe, to earth, to the plants, to the bees, to your brother, to your somebody you judge, somebody who you deem as the other, as the enemy outside of yourself. The heart is what unifies all of us, shows us that we are one. I don't think you could achieve the sense of oneness through the third eye, through the quantum field, that way. Yeah, you can have a beautiful journey, but what was the point? It's like you're
Exactly.
accumulating experiences and knowledge and all the things, and you're missing the point of melting in that full oneness and seeing all the sisters as reflections of yourself, and seeing your duty in raising them and supporting them and having this be this dance of full reciprocity and love and a network that thrives. And I loved so much everything you had to say about abundance. It resonated so deeply. There's so many teachers, all things money, all things abundance. And the way that you were talking about it, all I kept seeing was rain, because rain is the most abundant thing in
Blessings.
nature.
Yes.
And it's like rain, 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 rain. Like, and some of us, we are like, I cleared all the pathways, but are you open to rain? Are you open to all, how are you still judging rain? How are you still judging the current of money? And yeah, thank you. Thank you for bringing through this wisdom. Thank you for embodying it, and thank you for holding that wisdom, and also sharing so openly and not gatekeeping. I don't get that energy about you at all, and I just love that. I just love that so much. Thank you.
Marina, for hosting this beautiful podcast to listen to more episodes actually, and for really like tuning into the field and the questions and also your shares. Absolutely, like whoa. I'm like wide heart open and excited for more.
Oh, yay. Okay, we have to share one where people can find you, which I will put everything in the show notes as well, and how they can work with you, any programs, containers, one-on-one. Can you please speak to that? Because I know many people have resonated and would love, and about the event, the big event that's coming up too.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you so much for I totally forgot about it. And sometimes I forget, so thank you for reminding me. And so I think the easiest way is to hop on Instagram at Eliska dot B as a Victor AEA. Otherwise, it's the website is eliskavaea.com. Again, my first name, my last name. And yes, there's going to be an epic event that I am hosting next year, which is going to be in a hockey arena.
Where?
Out
A
of all
hockey
the places.
arena? Where?
Yeah, it is in Prague. So it's going to be in the center of Europe, and it's called Alchemy of Pleasure. And it is about the divine feminine rising. And it is not like a crazy feminist woo-woo get together. It really is like a deeply rooted celebration of the feminine by women and men. So it is us coming together to celebrate the feminine, because I feel that only when we both, meaning men and women, do that, then it can really happen. yes, we as women need to remember our power and our wisdom, but when we are not supported by the men, it, you know, it won't go as far. Like, us together is where the power, the really the full strength is. And that's why we are here. That's why we like popped on earth as women and men, as the feminine and the masculine, and we see it in nature. So that is happening, and that's in May, but you can find that, you can see that on my Instagram. Otherwise, the current program that I have open that is on special is Money Magic. So the abundance codes are running through, and I do offer private retreats once in a while and one-on-one work, but that's all also on my Instagram. So go hang out there, connect. I would love to hear a little note if you listen to this amazing conversation with Katarina. I would love to know how it was, how it impacted you, what nuggets you took from this. Even if you like take a little screenshot and tag us in a story, we would love that, right? So yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for having this conversation with me. And thank you, dear listeners, for tuning in. And if you enjoyed this podcast, yes, please tag, comment, reach out, and rate, review, and subscribe. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Until next time.